Jalen Jacoby is presented by Captain Morgan.
He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby. What is
what
it
up,
that we do?
We give the people what they want.
So much to discuss today. James Harden is straight up not showing up for work. The Jets losing in a very interesting manner, and the Lions actually won a football game, but we start with the game of the week that was in Tennessee. Baker Mayfield and the Browns just showed up and showed out. Jalen, they scored a field goal and then 5 straight touchdowns in their first 6 possessions. What happened with the Browns?
You see what happened. Peoples Jones. Peoples Jones going deep. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdown passes in the first half, Jacoby. The team scored 5 total TDs. They were rumbling. I give the Titans credit for making it a football game, but it wasn't because Derrick Henry was running the ball and putting up big numbers. He actually fumbled. When I saw him fumble, Jacoby, I was like, whoa, Cleveland Browns defense out here playing physical.
Yep, that was the first time he has fumbled in 375 touches, and we all expected Henry to run all over this game in this defense. He did not. He had 15 attempts for only 60 yards. It wasn't just Baker, and I love watching Baker, especially when Baker's playing well and he's dancing and having fun. He's so exciting, but it wasn't just the offense and all the numbers they put up. The defense showed up as well. The final score, 41-35, and the onside kick, that does not reflect the waxing that these Browns put on the Titans, but things get tricky for the Browns from here. Right now, they sit at 9-3, but if you look at their upcoming games, they've got the Ravens, the surprising Giants, the Jets, they're definitely going to lose that one, and then the Steelers, 3 really tough games in their final 4, but they can prove who they are, and if they're truly a contender in the AFC in the next month of games. And Jalen, that one was exciting and a big game in the AFC. But one thing that we always say about the AFC is that the Chiefs are head and shoulders above every other team, not just in the AFC, but in the NFL. We say it's the Chiefs and then a big gap and then everybody else. But Jalen, last night I'm watching the game against the Broncos and they were losing. They did end up winning the game by 6 points, but it wasn't pretty. Are you concerned about the Chiefs sometimes playing down to competition and just barely squeaking out wins instead of blowing teams out?
I am not concerned. I want to give the Denver Broncos actually credit because when you hire a defensive coordinator to be your head coach, you expect them to compete on that side of the football. That's why my Lions are looking for a new coach because they tried to do that and it didn't work. But for the Kansas City Chiefs, Jacoby, they toying with the competition. And I know it. Can we give the Cheetahs some love? Please give the Cheetahs some love. For those that weren't watching this game, because they were playing the Broncos and the Broncos have a different person playing quarterback every quarter. Look at the Cheetah. This is a touchdown catch.
He caught the ball, didn't even know he scored a touchdown.
They didn't even care. They didn't even challenge it. No, there's an offensive coordinator. There's a head coach. There's so many people that saw this video. It's people playing fantasy. It's people betting. Look at the Cheetah, dog. Look, we're going to do this every week. You know why he never sticks to landing? Because, A, you can tell that he ain't never even done that before. He's just trying stuff. He's just trying stuff. And they got a penalty on that play. That's 2 touchdowns. He out there just bucket naked, wide open. And then the other one, Jacoby, how do you not challenge it? It cost some people some money, for sure.
Well, I think he legit didn't know he caught it. But while I was watching that play, they ripped it out of him and he caught it again. I was like, are we sure? Are we sure that he didn't catch that live? I was like, are we sure he didn't catch that? Because if you watch the end of this, it gets ripped out of his hands and he catches it again. But Jalen, you have a theory that they're toying with their competition. They're playing with their food. And their tight end, Travis Kelce, kind of backed up that theory a little bit because I was up late watching this game and I watched the post-game interview when Travis Kelce had something really interesting to say about that evening's competition. Take it away, Travis.
We just got to finish strong. I mean, hats off to the Raiders. They've done an unbelievable job the past 2 games of, presenting a challenge on 3rd downs and in the red zone. I mean, it is what it is. We got to keep fighting as it's so cold. Yay! Gotta love it, baby. Gotta love it, man.
Hats off to the Raiders? Did he say hats off to the Raiders after playing the Broncos, Mr. Rose? Did he just do that?
Dog, so many things in that soundbite. First and foremost, he was dead serious. It wasn't like the Tyronn Lue video where he couldn't remember Luke Kennard's name. Like, he was dead serious on the field of play, and he called them the Raiders, who, by the way, is their rival. The other thing, if he realized that he did it, and you know this as a media personality, if he was going to go back to it, he forgot his train of thought when Patrick Mahomes came and put the water on him. So he didn't give himself a chance to even fix it. But all in all, when you're playing with the competition, we used to say that would be bulletin board material for the rest of the league and rest of the AFC. Are we saying that? No, we're not saying that. We're not saying that because Kelce putting up crazy historic numbers this year, by the way.
Well, Kelce has put up huge numbers. We'll take a look at those. He's setting records at the tight end position. I mean, look at this. Just look at the ranks. And there's some great tight ends in the league.
On,
Waller's out there. Kittle's out there. There's great tight ends in this league, and he is ranked first in 5 straight seasons.
Man,
he has
I gotta tell you a
1,000
secret,
plus receiving yards. 5 straight seasons.
I got to tell you a secret. The serious
just
is
me and
this
you here.
goatee. Like Walt Clyde Frazier would rock it, like Magic in '79, like Denzel in Training Day. The tight end spot is one of my favorites in the NFL. And just watching those numbers with Travis Kelce, it just made me think about so many all-time greats that played that position, and he just taking it to another level. We got to pay homage to the old-school tight ends, the Doug Cosbys, the Billy Joe Duprees, the Kellen Winslows. Absolutely, so many.
Jalen, we have some news. Defensive coordinator Greg Williams of the New York Jets was fired this morning. He is no longer with the Jets, and a lot of it has to do with the end of the game against the Raiders, in which the Jets had the lead in the football contest, and then this happened. It's been covered all day long today. Jalen, what are your thoughts about the all-out blitz at the end of the game?
Jacoby, you know I root for an NFL team that went winless for a season. You know I watched that up close and personal. Let me tell you something. I even watched the Browns when it happened because they are cousins for it. When you're 0-12, everybody contributes to your level of ineptitude and dysfunction. Everybody's horrible at their job. That's why when you look up this offseason, most, if not all of the people in the front office and or in uniform are going to be elsewhere. So I'm not surprised that they fired the defensive coordinator, but here's what I'm surprised. That they had just given up a bomb opportunity to Nelson Aguilar.
Yes, show that.
Carr overthrew it.
Yes, they were in a zone. In the previous play, they were in a zone. He's wide open. That's 2 in a row. That is 2 game-losing plays in a row with 2 different types of defense. It's almost not so much focus is being put on the call, where it's like there was a different call in the previous play, and they messed that up too. This is a loss for them. It's not just all on Greg Williams. Is a great point that I'm glad you're pointing out, Mr. Rose. However, Mr. Williams will no longer be with the Jets, and I do not believe the Jets are going to win a game. And somewhere Trevor Lawrence was watching all that go down, and he's like, man, I'm either going to be in Jacksonville or New York.
I want to see, and I know we're talking about Adam Schefter, our guy racing the cheetah. I really want to see him and Ruggs race. Now, that'll be something.
Well, from one New York team going down to another one that's headed up. The Giants headed over to Seattle to play what many consider to be one of the best teams in the league, certainly one of the best teams in the NFC, in the Seahawks. They didn't have Daniel Jones. They started Colt McCoy, and they won the football game 17-12. What did this game show you about the Seahawks?
Jacoby, I know for professional protocol, we continue to break down these games with the best of them, but I got to sometimes feed my degenerates out there. And let me tell you something. On paper, this looked like a gimme for the Seahawks. It looked like a gimme for the Seahawks. Like you just going to sweep the money up off the floor very easy. And all of a sudden, the Giants go there and upset them and beat them. Russell has a couple of turnovers. Again, they can't stop the run at all. The Giants, was Saquon Barkley playing? Like, I was like, I looked at the TV again. I'm like, is he back? Well, I'm like,
it's
no.
Colt McCoy and Alfred Morris. It's Colt McCoy and Alfred Morris and Wayne Gallman running all over the Seahawks defense, who are supposed to have a really bad pass defense. Now they're getting gashed on the run. They're giving up yards on the pass. And again, it is Colt McCoy. This isn't Saquon and Daniel Jones. This is Colt McCoy and Alfred Morris. This is a real cause for concern for Seattle to be at home to lose this game, not just to this team, but to these players on this team. Where do you think that puts them in the NFC in terms of contention?
They put me as a squad that just has a home run opportunity if they're going to get hot in the playoffs because they have Russell. And then they have a couple of star players that can make a play and change the game on that side of the ball in Wagner and also Adams. But you can't rely on that because we talked about their run D, but their pass D has been all-time awful this year as well. So if they're going to do something, it's literally Carson getting a couple of touchdowns, Metcalf and Lockett getting out there. That's going to be their only chance, and then Russ just going to have to go into the phone booth.
I have to stop you because while we showed some great video from the NFL, there's some very interesting video from the NBA that we can't show you, but we can talk about it. Let's go behind the curtain. Houston Rockets had practice yesterday. John Wall was there. Guess who wasn't there? James Harden. And then James Harden had a individual workout scheduled for the evening because of COVID-19 protocols. He couldn't join the team for practice. He didn't show up to that either. But where did he show up? Oh, little baby's birthday. We had some video from that. And where else did he show up? At an environment that looked a lot like a gentleman club with a man that looked a lot like James Harden inside, not wearing a mask. Mr. Rose, take us behind the curtain. What kind of message does this send when you are James Harden, you're not playing basketball with the team, and you are playing in the streets of Atlanta?
Well, a couple of things. I just hope him saying allegedly that he doesn't want to be with the Rockets now affect his professionalism in doing his job, which is then going to start costing him money, and it's going to start costing him fans. I don't want that to happen for him. I believe that each of these things are actually isolated, Jacoby. If you think about it, the season just ended, they were in the bubble. Each time when they were about to go in the bubble, people was like, we about to go do a bid. When you saw the NBA come out with those rules and restrictions about COVID, of what they can't do.
I think he broke a couple. So
for me, he was like, I'm about to get it in right now. Little baby's birthday, he came with a duffel bag, gave him a couple of $100,000. You know what I'm saying? And he had to get back to the community. During this time, you got to take care of the
Service
people.
Employees need to be taken care of.
Absolutely. Essential workers. James Harden will get his number retired at a couple of strip clubs in Houston before he leaves.
They scheduled an individual workout just for him. That means an assistant coach was there, maybe some ball boys were there, and they're sitting there waiting, looking at the door, waiting for James Harden to walk through it, and he did not walk through it. I think this is something that will be covered heavily in the next couple of days, and you will always see the updates here on Jalen and Jacoby. We also have this, a quarterback controversy in Philadelphia, and the Patriots beat the Chargers 45-0. So much to discuss. Make sure you stay tuned. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is presented by Captain Morgan. There's more fun to be had. Drink responsibly, part of Happy Hour. And in part by Duracell Optimum.
Remember being in your favorite sport clips, getting set for that great MVP haircut experience? Yeah, how about if we made that wait even shorter? Now, with Sport Clips On Deck text alerts, when you check in online or with our app, we'll text you a 15-minute heads up when it's time to head in. And when you're the next man up, you'll get another text to come take your seat. Less wait time, more prime time. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy. Where is your haircut gone? We know you don't get out as much. You don't drive by your regular Sport Clips and pop in for that MVP haircut experience that is so much more than a haircut. But isn't it worth getting out for? For that legendary hot steam towel for your face, massaging shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. Oh man, you remember that, right? We found your haircut. It's right where you left it. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, presented by Captain Morgan.
Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, the Packers beat the Eagles by 2 touchdowns. Look like a Super Bowl contender, so you'd think we would be speaking about them, but we're not, because Carson Wentz was put on the bench and Jalen Hurts was put in and looked okay. Jalen, what do you think about the brewing controversy in Philadelphia at the quarterback position?
All I know is when Hurts threw that bomb to Rieger, Jalen's across the world rejoiced. That was just a beautiful moment in NFL history. Connection.
Good point.
No question about it. And so Carson Wentz, he struggled, and that's, something we've seen with him taking sacks, throwing interceptions. They needed a change at the position, especially when you look across the field and the other guys, Aaron Rodgers, who just threw his 400th touchdown, and he got Adams, and he got Jones, and they're out there balling. This is the week he's like, you know what? You ain't there yet. We're going to sit you down. And we're going to put our second-round pick in there who, like you, I agree. He showed some flashes of what he could do as a starter, but I just believe that Doug Peterson is going to look at his team and analyze the entire body of work, and Carson Wentz is going to be Philadelphia's starting quarterback next week, in my opinion, if no other reason but for the money. But for the money. Because they got to pay him a lot of money, Jacoby, over the next year or so. And with that big deal, you don't want to isolate him right now. You don't want to mess up his value right now more than he has. But you know what else you don't want him to do? You don't want him to get hurt, Jacoby. You don't want him to get hurt. So you're going to put Jalen Hurts out there, let him take some of those snaps, let him get some of the third down plays, some of that goal line action. But I still believe Carson Wentz is going to be their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I think we should pump the brakes a little bit on Jalen Hurts' performance. He didn't lead them to a victory. He had that nice pass, Jalen to Jalen connection, but he was 5 for 12. He was 5 for 12 in the game. So I do believe that Carson Wentz remains the starter in Philly, but I also don't believe they will end up in the playoffs as the Giants have put themselves in pole position in the NFC East. Moving on to another game with a very surprising result. Not just who won, but how they won. The Patriots won 45 to nothing. 45 to nothing. What did you think about this performance from the Pats?
I think I like that. I only seen it a couple of times yesterday. You know how I feel about special teams touchdown. You know how I feel about special teams touchdown. You see that, Jacoby? Blocking the field goal, going the other way. McCarty, look at him, getting out there. Ain't nobody catching me. Running fast like he's still in the backyard trying to fall in love with the game. But here, in all honesty, Anthony Lynn, 3-2-1, the time is ticking for his job with the Chargers. They have something special at the quarterback position. They've had a lot of injuries with that team, but when you've lost so many close games, and then all of a sudden it seems like your team let go of the rope, and then you get waxed like this, it's going to definitely, in my opinion, cost him his job at some point.
The Patriots scored 45 points. Cam Newton, the starting quarterback, threw for 69 yards. 69 yards. Cam Newton threw for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. Jarrett Stidham came in and threw for 61 yards and 1 touchdown. That is just exemplary of how the Patriots approach the offense. They're running Cam. They run the running backs. They got a bunch of them, and that's what they do on offense, and the Chargers were ill-prepared to deal with it. Another interesting quarterback performance from Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill showed this week what Sean Payton has been telling us he's going to do the past 3 weeks. He played really well, 27 for 37, 232 yards, looked like a legitimate quarterback, not a gimmick this week. What do you think about Taysom's performance?
I think while we get caught up in ring counting so very much and we start giving people names like quarterback whisperers and geniuses, people got to start making sure they put some respect on Sean Payton's name. Because it seems like whoever's under center, to be honest, he's going to find a way to have them be productive. And you're right about Taysom Hill. In his first start, it didn't look like he was going to be that guy that came out throwing rockets outside the numbers like he was doing in this game. And also, along with health, because Michael Thomas has been playing these last couple of games, he's clearly getting a level of productivity from him that just wasn't happening earlier in the year for obvious reasons due to injury and just being in and out of the lineup. So if and when Drew Brees returns, week 14. And by the way, but hearing his injuries, I'm like, he gonna be back when?
Collapsed
I'm like, that
lungs.
sounds like he needs a little more time.
Don't you need your lungs?
Yeah. What else did he have? Yeah. I'm like, whoa, he needs a little more time. I want to make sure I get on the phone with Drew Brees if I need to and tell the OG just to chill a couple of more weeks. We don't need you to come back week 14, dog.
We need you.
He needs people in his life to tell him, no, dog.
Exactly.
No, dog.
Jalen.
You can come back and play the first half of the final game and then get ready to the playoffs.
Jalen, the Lions were down 10 with under 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. What happened next, Jalen Rose? What happened next, Jalen Anthony Rose?
You know, I was watching the game, and you know what I was trying to do? I was trying to convert my daughter Gracie, who's 14, to be a Lions fan. Now, she grew up in Georgia, but the game was on, Jacoby. I was cooking. I was making thighs and drumsticks and barbecue ribs, you know? So it was just like bonding, you know? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, you see them Lions out there? What you think of those uniforms? What do you think of that squad right there? And you know, after all of this, they came back to win. Had 2 touchdowns late. I was so happy, had a couple of sangrias, but her answer was, I'm not going to be able to do it. That's what she said to me.
You know what? You know when she would be a Lions fan? You know when she would be a Lions fan? If they drafted Tua. Jalen, we have some huge boxing news. We'll tell you what that is right after this. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is presented by Captain Morgan. There's more fun to be had. Drink responsibly, part of Happy Hour.
Jalen Rose is going to finally get a haircut because the NBA returns to ESPN this Friday night at 10:30. We have some West Coast action between the Sacramento Kings and the Portland Trail Blazers tuning up for the upcoming season. We have some big news in the world of boxing. Floyd Money Mayweather will return to the squared circle. He will face off against Logan Paul, the brother of Jake Paul, who we just saw fight Nate Robinson. Your thoughts on this curious move from Mr. Mayweather?
Well, first off, this is literally easy money for Floyd. Easy money. But I'm just surprised. Normally, he doesn't get caught up in like the internet trolling, fighting the brother of somebody who was just on Mike Tyson's fight card. So we got to bring him on to talk about this one.
I look forward to that, and that happens on the 20th of February in 2021. But we want to celebrate today because today is the birthday of someone very special to the two of us, Larry Bird. You used to play for Larry Bird. I used to pray to Larry Bird. Every day before games, I would pray to the Larry Bird poster in my room before taking the court and going 2 for 12 from the field.
Legend.
We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Make sure you tune in. Don't you think those once-in-a-blue-moon moments should happen more than once in a blue moon? Spending some special time with your significant other, playing with your kids, happy hour, just relaxing night in. We should make those once-in-a-blue-moon moments happen more than once in a blue moon, and you can always do it with Blue Moon beer. Blue Moon is on a mission to celebrate and inspire more of those moments. And just like you are looking for the special in every day, Blue Moon takes a twist on the everyday Belgian wheat beer. I love a Blue Moon. I love the citrus notes. I love when you go to a bar. Remember bars? Remember you go to a bar and you get a Blue Moon draft and they've got a little slice of orange they put in there and I'll drink it down to the bottom and then I'll eat the orange. I love Blue Moon so much. And it's got that one-of-a-kind appearance, that bright taste. It's a well-crafted beer with that twist of citrus flavor. And, fun fact, you know why it's called Blue Moon? Someone was tasting the beer and they said, a beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon. Well, guess what? Let's take that once in a blue moon and make it more often. And here's what you can do. In 2020 during the pandemic, you can have Blue Moon delivered by going to get.bluemoonbeer.com and you can find delivery options near you. Add a special touch to your holiday season with the brightness of Blue Moon, brewed with Valencia orange peel for unique, vibrant taste. Reach for the moon. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing, Golden, Colorado. We always say we give the people what they want. Part of that is the podcast exclusive content. There's so much to get to. We've got 3 NFL games that we got to get to. We've got the Meek Mill video. We've got James Harden's weekend in Atlanta, but we got to start with what is going on your face and your head. What is going on your face and your head, Jalen?
Hit the brakes.
Uh-oh.
For those that's been with us for 10 years, there have been peaks and valleys in our relationship to where we were giving you a dope pod to step to, and then we started giving you a television show that was a podcast. We went back into the lab. That doesn't make us happy. That doesn't make Reg the Ledge happy. So you know what you're about to start back getting? You're about to start back getting the raw, uncut, unfiltered podcast that helped launch the revolution of everybody and their mama having a podcast. And a lot of what that is as well, Jacoby, is the topics. And I'm going to answer your first question first. The reason why I got my almost 50-year-old wolfing haircut today is because I'm doing just that until Christmas. When I get a fresh cut, I lay it down. I'm gonna be cleaner than the Board of Health on Christmas Day, suited and booted, Christmas colors. I ain't decided if it's gonna be red, I ain't decided if it's gonna be white, it's gonna be green. I don't know, one of each. Like, I'm gonna be so fresh, so clean. Like, I might not even speak.
I want to talk to our podcast listeners because you've been woofing it for a while now, but to the point where the goatee was starting to creep towards your ears a little bit, and you looked like super homeless last week. So you went down to Atlanta. And I know that you've got your certain barbers in certain spots, but I could tell from what you went in today and said, listen, just clean me up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the full fade, the full treatment, but just clean me up so I look like a millionaire. I don't look like someone who's shaking a cup out in front of a liquor store trying to get some change from people on the way out. Because that's what you looked like last week. I do like this look. I do like this mini fro thing, the Clyde Frazier beard, you call it. It's a very Clyde Frazier goatee. Like, it's almost the exact same thing. But I do want to know, and I've asked you before, the long-term strategy. So you're telling me that you're going to ride this all the way to Christmas? Because today's what, the 7th? So we got 18 more days of this?
Yeah, because this is my old head look. You know, and it's kind of like the pod. You know, when I get red carpet clean, that's gonna be Christmas Day. But for right now, I need to spit these OG bars. You know, there's been a lot of things happening in society. You know, and that's why I'm showing the grays too, because a couple of those things is giving me a couple of more grays. You know,
so let's start with the Meek Mill video. Let's start with the Meek Mill video, Jalen Rose. There's a video that came out. Meek Mill's inside of his vehicle. Some young men in Atlanta want to sell him some water. He gives them $20, and they receive the money, but they ask for some more, and the internet chimes in. I want your unfiltered thoughts on what you saw.
So there going to be a segment of the population, and I'm not mad at this at all, that feel like if they're hustling and he gave them anything, they should be thankful and or consider that showing them love. But you know, being my brother for the past 10 years, I would have felt exactly like those young fellas felt. You know why? I used to be him, dog. Let me tell you something. To the rest of the world, it's Meek Mill. But in the black community, that's a hero riding a $400,000 spaceship. When he rolled down the window, dog, I've been that kid. I can name you so many Detroit celebrities and who I saw and former athletes. When I was the guy pumping gas, carrying bags to the car from the supermarket, asking people to shovel their snow or cut their grass. And each time you pay attention to those that give what they can. And you ready for this? That ain't only money. It's love. It's support. It's game. And let me tell you something, and I've said it on this show, independent of those young fellas. And by the way, I'm currently doing this show in Atlanta, had a place here 20 years. For everybody that knows, I know 360 degrees of what's going on in Georgia and in Atlanta. And there are people sometimes that you see hustling that will not necessarily give you the quality of what you're paying for. There are going to be times where you see somebody probably hustling water on the side of the road that they just filled up with a faucet and put a little glue on there. And then when you open it, you click it, and you may think that you're getting some fresh water. And yeah, it's remixed or it's from the faucet. But that ain't the point. You're donating to the hustle. It's not about the goods you're receiving in return. And what ends up happening, Jacoby, is when you become a hero, and in our community, you know who the heroes are? Athletes, the entertainers, the famous people that make it out and get a chance to cruise back through in your new whip. And when we see you in your new whip, I don't care if it's paid in full, when he's driving down the street in a new Beamer, I don't care if it's belly, when Lennox returns home and you see the young fellas hitting on the window. I don't care if it's Mean Joe Green Pepsi commercial, when the young fella saw him and how he just looked. That's how we see our heroes. We know what they've overcome to be who they are. And we see ourselves in them. The disappointment here, and the reason why Meek is going to take a lot of criticism that he deserves, is that was his moment to do that for them. And I don't judge people by what they say, Jacoby, after something happens. I judge them off what I believe they're going to do if they're put in that situation again. And if he's put in that situation again, he's going to reach deeper into them pockets. And you know why you doing it, dog? It's called the charity that make it to the hood. How many times have you heard me say that? Charity that makes it to the hood.
A lot.
And that's what I mean. That's a chance to, hey, y'all stay out of trouble. Y'all make sure y'all taking care of business in school. Y'all make sure that when people hook y'all up, y'all saying please and thank you. When I ride back through here, I'm going to have some shirts for y'all. I'm going to have some hoodies for y'all. And matter of fact, give me that 20 back, dog. I would have thought that he would have thought about what just happened. He had a chance. I saw the video. He had a chance to think about what happened. And you know what he could have did? Reach deeper into them pockets, dog, till he pulling up lint. And you know what he should have did? He should have gave each of them 100. That's what he should have did. And it ain't about the money. And hold on, let me say one more thing. I've been that 13-year-old kid out in the street trying to hustle too. So you can't give them too much money that might get them in trouble or somebody want to rob them. You got to protect them in a lot of ways from the money, because that's the root of all evil. So now all of a sudden, if I'm giving them a bankroll and they 13 years old, guess what the 17, 18-year-olds that's probably got them out there doing it gonna do? They're gonna take the money from them. See, they ain't working independent. There are some adults or some older teenagers that are involved in kind of overseeing when you see these operations. They're not happening independently because people will rob you. Yeah, they'll see, oh, dog, I come at 11, Jacoby got 50 waters. All right, I come back at 12, he got 40. I'm going to wait, oh, boom. And then finally, when you sell them all, they'll just rob you. And so there's so many levels to that I've seen up close and personal. And when I saw the video, yes, like so very many, I was disappointed in Meek. I was really disappointed in how he handled that. And I think it's going to be a learning experience. And like I said, when in that situation again, he's definitely not going to handle it like that.
A couple things just to defend Meek here for a second. He paid $20 on a $1 water, okay? So that's 20 times what they're asking for, he paid, okay? And you got to imagine if you're driving around that car and you're Meek Mill and you're in that community, that they're not the only people that come with their hand out. So let's say the next block, someone else, you know what? Oh, I just like as Jalen Rose instructed me to, I just went deep in my pockets until I came up with a lint. But there's another stoplight. And there's another set of kids. Am I supposed to go to the ATM and get more money for them? They're not the only people coming at Meek with their hand out. So if he overextends himself, if he gives into every request, I don't give to everybody on the subway that comes with their hand out. I don't. Because it happens over and over again. And next thing you know, I'm spending $15 before I even get to work and $15 on the way back before I get to work every single day. So what do you say to that? What do you say to the fact that, yeah, he gave him $20 for a $1 product, and he told him to split it. Now, before you answer that question, I also want to say this. He posted the video himself, right? And he's a very intelligent young man, and I know he does lots of charitable things. And I think that he's like, yo, I've give a lot. I've foundations and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's put back in the community, and he put $20 on a $1 item for them to split, and he posted it himself. So there's two questions. What do you think about the fact that a lot of people come to him with his hand out and he can't give to everybody? And what do you think about the fact that he posted himself probably knowing that he would receive some criticism because of that?
I'm glad that I could do this show with my brother from another mother who just so happens not to be black, that's going to challenge me and bring a different ideology and a different perspective, and ask that, tough between the eyeballs question of he did give $20 for, in theory, a product that was worth $1. And I'm going to go step by step because you know how much my community means to me, and having the respect of my people means to me is bigger than any dollar that I could ever receive. Like, when I joke about being in delivery rooms and, being a common name, like that's a real thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's love. And I point out that love that has now propelled me from that community, and now it mushroomed from just being people named Jalen to look like me to now there's white girls, there's all different types of people that have adopted the name of the person that they have love for. And that's what you become in that community. So what I'm saying about Jalen Jacoby is just a different voice when it's Meek. And you asked, when you leave your house, dog, let me show you how this works as a public figure, as a celebrity, and as a boss, and as a made man, and as an entrepreneur. And as somebody that's riding through the hood all of the time that I grew up in. I started a school there, okay? I'm there all of the time. And you asked, what do you do in those scenarios? And you brought up the word ATM, right? And I don't curse, but I have to do it right now for effect. Yes, you take your ass to the ATM. Because guess what I was just doing the other day? The exact same thing. When I'm jumping in and out of the car to go to Wingstop, when I'm jumping in and out of the car to pick up food and people valeting, and I see security and I'm seeing all of these people, yep, I'm peeling them off. That is what you should be doing. Because you know what, Jacoby? You knew before you left the house where you was going. And giving people money on the subway is vastly different than giving away money in the inner city. That subway money ain't the charity that's gonna make it to the hood. That's the distinguishing factor. These are young folks that are in the hood, on the block, that idolize us, that look up to us. And I've also been that kid that you paying attention to the type of cars just rolling up. And when we see a busted loud car, we still gonna treat them with respect and try to sell the water. But yo, when we see a caddy coming or a big body or something that's clean, we like, yo, we gotta get it together. We can't mess this up. Like, this person, this might be our chance to get a 5, get a 10, get a 20. To your point. But the difference is when you roll down that window, and it's one of your idols, and it's somebody that you know all of the words to their verses, and you're willing to take off your mask and catch coronavirus if you have to get a conversation, you can't tell 1, 2, 3, 4 dudes at any age that's hustling on the street to split anything, especially if it's a $20 bill and it's like 4 or 5 of us. Because like I just told you, you don't know the older kids or the parents that we gotta pay taxes to. So that's why they like, yo, it's all love, but you want us to split it. Like, I know the code that they was talking in. I've done that, dog, 100 million times. I've done that. And basically what they were saying is, well, we appreciate you, we got love. I heard the other young fella in the back, like, get from behind, get off his car. And then I heard the other little fella like, yo, dog, like, we appreciate it, but, like, we can't really split the 20. Basically what they were saying is the older kids or the parents, they cut in the 50% of what we got. So you looking at us like you giving us 20, you really giving us 10, and 5 of us got to split it, so it's only like $2. Like, I've done this math. And so that's what that circumstance was about. And I guarantee you, like me and Joe Green, I gave that example. Like, the best example, he just came to me off the fly. The movie Belly. When Lennox has DMX back in his hometown, he know he riding a spaceship through the hood. The kids love him so very much, though, Jacoby. They love people like us, me, so much. They protect me from everything. You know how I move, in silence and solo. I'm on every block, in every hood, driving myself, dog. That's a badge of honor for your people to love you, but that helped put you on. And he was here for a concert. So you already know if you in the hood and you riding that big body, you see him coming. So that's a decision you make before you leave the house, Jacoby, as a public figure, as somebody that is getting asked a lot from a lot of people. Am I gonna put myself in that position today? Or am I going to just go to my show? You see what I mean?
So what about the next corner with the next set of kids? What about let's say there's a set of kids in that corner and he gives them $100. The next corner is $100. The next corner is $100. The next corner is $100.
All right, let me say it for a different way for people that don't look like me. Let me say this in a different way. When you're riding through a hood in a spaceship, dog, that's like Santa's sleigh. Is that a better way to think about it? That's like Santa's sleigh. A Santa's sleigh riding through the hood.
Santa and the reindeers come by, kids are going to want presents.
Correct. Because when you come back with that big body, you showing us you made it. So when you made it, we helped put you there. And since we helped put you there, show us some love, dog.
So here's the second part of my question.
It is.
Here's the second part of my question.
It ain't even necessarily about the bread.
We know this happened not because someone else posted or one of the kids caught it and posted it. We know this happened because he was either live or he posted it himself. So do you think he knew that there would be some criticism that came with this, or he was just living his life?
I think it was a moment where he didn't necessarily see himself in the young fellas, and it was a lapse of judgment. I believe when he posted it, his thought was, I'm gonna show the world that I'm tired of people asking me for stuff, and I'm willing to say no. Or it could have been him thinking, I'm gonna show the world how I gave them some tough love. You see what I mean? Because to your point, he did post it. So he could have been like, I'm gonna show y'all how I saw these young fellas and they was hustling, but I gave him a 20. I ain't give him 500. I gave him a 20. You know, y'all got some more work to do. But let me just tell you this. That also go with some game. See, I keep stressing, it ain't about the money. It's about seeing the celebrity, being able to talk to them, being able to touch them, being able to see that they're real and they're from where I'm from and I can do it too. Man, just let me put my head in the car, dog. Like, man, like, wow, I need this. Dog, let me tell you something. I was playing 13 and under AAU, doing exactly what those kids was doing, I swear. And the coach picked me up from on the corner to go to one of our AAU tournaments. And I lived on the northwest side, and the tournament was out at Detroit Country Day, like Birmingham, West Bloomfield, Farmington, out that way. And so I remember just riding in the back of the car, and back of the van, and we just playing the music and stuff like that, because I was in control of the music. And then there's a way to help me get sitting in front a lot of times too. And so I'm playing the music, and I look to the left, and I see a lake. Because I know, like, Belle Isle downtown, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I know it's the Great Lakes State, and we surrounded by water, but I'm like, wait a minute. They jet skiing right now? I'm like, oh, wait, whoa. I hit the pause button in the van. I swear to God, we was going to practice. I'm like, y'all see them jet skiing? Like, that's exactly right. I'm like, yo. I was like, I need that. Like, for real, dog. And since then, I had to rededicate myself to the game. I sure did. I was like, I needed that. And so when Meek is in the hood and they get a chance to touch him, feel him, again, it ain't about the bread. It's about the game. It's about the game. It's about planting that seed in all of them. And yes, if you go into another corner and some other young cats doing the same thing, rinse and repeat. Or don't go to the hood. See, you leaving that part out too. Because a lot of times we talk about being able to go where we from and how we represent to the fullest. I know a lot of people that say they from Detroit, and they are. And you see them everywhere saying, what up, though, throwing on D hats. But when it's time to put out these driver's license, mine's still Michigan. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, as they get older, for career, for family, for opportunity, they move on. And rightfully so. Like, Meek ain't from Atlanta. He from Philly. He was here to do a show. But what I'm schooling you on, Jacoby, is that's the taxes you pay to the hood. You go, that's called the Robin Hood theory, dog. That's you robbing from the rich because you're there to do your show, but you giving back to the poor because you riding through in the spaceship and you breaking bread with everybody and showing them that they can have it too. So that's what I saw when I saw the video.
Also in Atlanta, we had Little Baby's birthday. Attending Little Baby's birthday was James Harden. I'm not sure it was in Atlanta, but apparently that's what the reports are. James Harden there in a green plaid shirt. Crazy shirt. Oh, that was the first thing I saw. I was like, what is that shirt that this dude is rocking? And he gave Little Baby a present that consisted of a Prada bag, $100,000, honey buns, and a Richard Mille watch. Jalen, there's a lot to discuss here. There's no masks. The protocol came out on Friday of what the league expects behavior of their athletes to be. And he was not following the protocol. There's the gift, the protocol, and the party. No one's wearing masks in this party. Your thoughts?
So here are my professional thoughts. It's the 95-5 theory. Everybody turn this part up, especially if all of your bills ain't in your name. James Harden has a lot of talents in life, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's really intelligent and can do a lot of things that would surprise a lot of people if he wasn't in the NBA. But the reason why he was able to give Lil Baby a bag like that is because he plays in the NBA. It's because he gets a blank check from a shoe company. It's paying them $200-300 million Adidas to rock their kicks. That's where that come from. So what you can't now start doing is letting the 5%, your lifestyle, the fun you like to have, the club and the partying, the friends and the family, you can't allow that 5% to now have you missing workouts that you set up with the team. After you already told the team you wanted to leave. After they already traded Russ, added Wall, added Boogie, added Christian Woods. We got your blessing for the coach, and you still haven't called him back. We hired one of the people that you told us it was basically okay. And so what I don't want to see happen with him is he now start donating that money back to the NBA because he's not doing his obligations to the Rockets and covering that 95%, in which we now know who the Beard is, and he's become one of the best players in the game.
Yeah, I see this playing out of him reporting to practice as soon as he can. I see this playing out of him going back to Houston and him following protocols and saying, all right, I got to get 3 tests and a week of quarantine, and I can't practice with the team until this happens. Like, I don't think he's going to hold out. You don't see a lot of holdouts in the National Basketball Association.
Well, no, but I'll give you a different spin on that. So now what you're doing, and people do this in business all the time. What you're doing is you're showing me you got the leverage right now, James. Okay. So basically what you're saying is you're assuming that the team is going to not fine him because he violated COVID protocol, and thus that's the reason why he needs to quarantine, which is ultimately the reason why you're missing practice. So now, just so you know, they're going to call his agent and or him and let him know, oh, by the way, James, we're not going to fine you for missing these practices. So now that's business line in the sand, which means we are giving you an additional paid vacation in order to sort out everything you need to sort out while you're clearing the COVID protocol. Because didn't we just see somebody from the Rockets get sent home from the bubble? Did that just happen?
Yes.
Did that just happen?
Mr. House, yes.
Okay, that happened, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Okay. So he knows the value of the quarantine and the value of somebody breaking protocol because it affected his team's chances to advance in the playoffs when one of his teammates didn't follow the protocol. So I, like you, believe after he gets these COVID quarantine days off, like Lou will, he just had to scratch his itch, dog.
That's exactly it. He's like, listen, I see what's I see. He saw the Woj tweet on Friday and was like, ooh, this is pretty serious. He's like, he looked at the next 7 months of his life. Then he was like, ooh, this 7 months, I'm not going to be able to get it in like I want to. Dog, I'm sure he'll still have some private functions. Tweet. And he was like, I got 48 hours. I got 48 hours to get it in.
He called the jet. Like 48 hours, we about to go hard.
Yes, that's exactly
what happened.
I'm
going hard these 40 hours. I'm about to go to Atlanta. I'm about to go wherever. I'm about to get it in. And then I'm going to go back to the squad, and it ain't going to be playoff time. I'll miss a couple of practices, and then I'll be out there averaging 30, 35 until they trade me.
All right, Jay, we got to go rapid fire through the rest of these topics very quickly. Errol Spence beats Garcia. Are we going to get Spence Crawford? That's what I want to see. It's time. The time is now.
Jacoby, you ready for this?
Yes.
Huge Bud Crawford fan. Watched Errol this weekend. He dominated Garcia. Many people feel like he won every round. He looked great, in particular for a person who a year or so ago got into a horrific car accident that jeopardized his health and could have jeopardized his career. I need to see, and this is a fellow lefty that watches him closely, dog. I actually need to see him do one more fight before he fights Bud. I really do.
Please.
I really do, dog.
But you know how these things work, though. There's one more fight, and then he's staggered with Crawford. Crawford signs another fight, and they get staggered, and then it never really ends up happening. If I'm Crawford, I want Spence.
I didn't. Well, and by the way, he didn't have that A-plus snap he normally have. Like, I can't front. I saw like a B snap. Well, it wasn't A-plus snap. And so I believe you got to give him a tomato can. You got to throw Manny Pacquiao in there. You got to throw a dead body in there in front of him and just let him knock him out in 5 and just kind of, have one more tune-up before he go into Bud Crawford, in my opinion.
I've been waiting for that fight for so long. Zion Williamson says he has no restrictions. Remember, he had burst restrictions, and even in the bubble, they're talking about not playing him too much and this and that. He says he's going into this season with absolutely zero restrictions. How do you think they will handle that in New Orleans?
So a couple of teams, if you're looking for a squad to fall in love with, we talked about Phoenix, we talked about Atlanta. The Pelicans fall in that category for me, Jacoby. Mm-hmm. Zion averaged 22 points in 27 minutes, dog. Zion about to be out here quietly averaging 30 this year. Just think about what I just said. Just think about that. Think about his game, his size, and how he's going to be getting them. And think about your thought of when somebody averages 25, 28 points, how they normally get them. Either it's the big dominant guy, like a Shaq, right? Or it's a big guy like a Nakeem who has all of the skills. Or then it's a perimeter guy like a KD who could dribble, pass, and shoot, or a Steph Curry to have unlimited range, or like a LeBron James who's like a freak of nature, right? Zion is a bull in the china shop. This dude's 6'8", 285. He got a handle too. I guarantee you're gonna hear people saying it this year, like Zion got a handle. And he can pass.
He can pass. He can pass at Duke.
Pass.
He passed at Duke. He didn't pass it all in the league, but he passed at Duke. He could, he had some assists.
Yeah, he can pass.
But he's just
too.
a bully. Like you said, that you haven't really seen someone just Debo their way to 25 points and sack. You know what I mean? Like he just Debo's his way there.
And of course, it had to do with injury. But when we talk about who's gonna be the breakout player this year, Zion. He wasn't an all-star or rookie of the year.
It's hurt.
He gonna be the breakout player. And by the way, the fans gonna vote him in.
And who was most improved last year?
He gets voted in by the fans.
Who was most improved last year? Oh, Brandon Ingram. That's right. Also on his team. And I love passers. I love playmakers and passers and people that play defense. And Lonzo Ball was checking those boxes. I don't know what happened in the bubble. Some people the bubble didn't work for them. The bubble did not work for Lonzo Ball, but pre-bubble, people forget, Lonzo Ball was putting it together. Lonzo Ball was really putting it together. I like those three. Oh, come on, Reg. I'm into Lonzo Ball. All right, very quickly, we got 3 games.
Here's also what you're going to like. Let me tell you what else you're going to like. I know I acknowledge that the game represents positionless basketball, and they were only created for a novice to follow the game. So look at them as chess pieces. If I'm putting together a chessboard, I think Stan Van Gundy understands to do with Zion what I would do. That's to always have 2 players out there taller than him. So in theory, you could say that he's playing the 3, but in a lot of lineups, he'll probably be playing what's considered a stretch 4 in today's game.
He's not, but you always say it's who you guard. It's who you guard is your position, and correct. I don't see him out there trying to keep up with wings.
That's why I was about to make my final point. Brandon Ingram is taller than him, for example. And what's going to happen is you'll let Zion guard the guy that he has the ability to guard, but not get stuck guarding guys that's too big for him. And just because you feel like he has size, he'll get in foul trouble. Trying to guard Anthony Davis, the Joker, like DeAndre Ayton. It's just like those are just big 5s, big 4s that are just like, you don't want him to have to guard them all of the time as a young player. He's going to get in foul trouble. So that's something that I believe that they're going to do to also unlock Zion's game. He's going to be awesome this year.
Demetrius and Reggie keep telling us to bring up Steven Adams.
Steven Adams.
I love Steven Adams. Got great hands, and he's definitely a big body that can handle any sort of center that comes into the building, and he will have that protection of the rim protection of Zion. I also like Jackson Hayes too. I like Jackson Hayes. You didn't see too much from him last year, but I like him because rim protection was like the number one problem for the Pelicans. Is people just getting past their guys and going right to the rim. It was like a layup line.
Stand by me. He ain't gonna be having that.
We got 3 games to get to. 2 of the Dolphins beat the Bengals in a ho-hum game. Tua looked good. And then we had the Colts beating the Texans. I want to talk to you about the Texans. Because all you hear about is how great Deshaun Watson is and what a great season he's having and how bad it is that he doesn't have the support and the weapons and the people around him. Let me just say, is it more Deshaun Watson doesn't have the support that he needs and we're sort of wasting a great year from a great quarterback? Or is it more, if he's so great, we should be winning more games?
Well, I always like to start with the latter because the one thing I learned about sports, and you can look back at the history of it, the best players win. The best player, like you can make all these analytics and rocket science, and then all of a sudden when the best players play together, they should win more. Like that's how this works. Look at the NBA, like Russell 11 and 13 years. I don't care who else was in the league. Shaq and Kobe 3-peat. Hakeem back-to-back. Jordan 2 3-peats. Magic 5, Bird and them 3. So like the best players win. And the same in football, except what I've learned, it's also when the best players play with well-run organizations. That game is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, don't be surprised when the Steelers have 3 coaches in 60 years. Or Green Bay gonna make sure that they have a franchise quarterback. Those squads are storied teams that have an identity. And if I had to ask you right now, what's the Chiefs' identity? And then I ask you, what's the Texans' identity? What would your answers be?
Chiefs' identity is offensive gimmicks and mastermind and the play of Patrick Mahomes and the weapons they have around him. And the Texans' identity is we got to clean up Bill O'Brien's mess. Bill O'Brien made a whole big mess that we're just trying to clean up.
There you go.
They're like the maid service to come to the hotel room. Like, what happened in here last night? What happened in here last night? That's what they're doing right now.
And to my point, Deshaun had to get his bread. D-Hop had to leave to get his bread. And when they're paying you $500 million, Jacoby, it's like, what time the game? What time the game? He got drafted to the wrong team, dog. He got drafted to the wrong team.
We will be back tomorrow with another dope pod to step to. Why is that, Jalen Rose?
That was real pod exclusive, like 45 minutes. Reg Jalez, you like that? You like that? You like that? We're not done. We're not done. We're not done.
And now another edition of Obvious News from Geico. Obvious News! A study says that soft talkers do not make great radio personalities. We asked local librarian Steve Sage about this, and here's what he said.
Honestly, I don't buy it. I think I make very captivating radio.
Also in Obvious News, Geico makes it easy to save money and easy to manage your policy with the Geico app. So switching is a really smart decision. How does Steve feel about this?
I love the Geico app. I use it all the time.
That's Obvious News from Geico.
Obvious News.